Well, Audrey, you know, one of the, I guess, core themes in this course is leadership. How can we, you know, how can we take what we know about social psychology and leading our clients forward and our knowledge about those? And I know you've been extremely successful in the many years you've been in the business. Could you take a few moments and describe what your leadership style is like in working with your clients? And by the way, do you ever change that style based on you know, the type of client you're working with?
Yes, and very good question. I have a collaborative style. That helps me in asking a lot of the questions. Because I work with it, it allows me to ask more questions of them, and they're more forthcoming. We work together and we work through things together. But there are many leadership styles, and depending upon what niche you give, it can really show what kind of leadership style is best for that niche. There are some that have been raised and have always wanted someone to just tell them this is what they need to do, and they love that. They don't want to have any input. They just want guidance. That leadership is fine. There are ones that say, this is it, and this is the way I want you to do it, and that's what you pay me for, go do it. I, again, am the more collaborative one, so I ask more questions, say, how does this sound, how does this feel, do we need to work on it some more, once again, developing the niches, there's many personality styles. Find out which leadership style works best with that personality type.
Well, thank you for that. And, you know, in your leadership, obviously, you're motivating clients along the way. And I was wondering if you could share with the listeners, how do you start to motivate your clients to move out of those comfort zones? And those comfort zones can be, as you know, unhealthy or unproductive. For example, overspending or lack of systematic savings, not preparing for retirement. How do you start to motivate your client to more productive behaviors?
Many times, if they're not motivated, there is a reason behind that, and you have to do some digging. I've had a client that knows that they need to do something with their life insurance and that there's things still there, but they jokingly say, isn't this interesting? Every time we meet with you, we talk about debt. Okay, interesting, very interesting statement. Why do you think we do that? And then he'll talk about it, and then after he realizes and they realize, yes, they need that, yes, it needs to be done, that's how they're motivated. You can ask them different things on, so you don't seem to be saving as much, or maybe you're having problems saving because you just can't with your budget. Does that mean you think you need to be a little more aggressive in the style of our investment? Is that where you need to be right now? And that gets a conversation started. And it gets them motivated either to start saving or to make things a little more aggressive. There's all sorts of ways of motivating. And sometimes I even ask the client, so what can we do to get you to this point? Tell me what is stopping us or you, and how can we help each other get through this? And they'll be honest.
As a follow-up to that question, I was wondering, Audrey, what do you do when, let's say a client is listening to you and they really buy in and they've committed to maybe moving to a greater level of risk, willingness to hold a riskier portfolio, or maybe even more concrete, where they agree to a budget So they're able to put away systematic savings and everything looks good, but then you find out that they don't follow through. Or maybe in one case, one client does follow through and the spouse doesn't follow through. How do you handle this situation when you got this conflict from what was originally agreed and what was actually done?
It's interesting. Many times that happens in the background and you find out later. First thing you always do is thank the client for bringing this issue up, because many times, as we talked about being confident, they're not confident. They know that they're supposed to do it. I've had clients that said, oh yes, I'm going to save this and do that, and then at the end, sheepishly, they'll kind of look up and say, so is this where we talk about our credit card debt? And I'm like, oh, when did this occur? And then I have to say, thank you, thank you. It's better to tell me than not to tell me so we can work on it together. So the first thing you have to let them know is it's not bad to let us know. That's why they're here. And to thank them. And then once again, you go through, are we expecting something that you can't? Or is it just something that you aren't motivated to do? If it happens more than a couple times, and I start putting it actually on the list of things to talk about, then once again, you have to reassess and say, honestly, you're having a problem with this area, so I think realistically we do have to look at when you're retiring or your risk tolerance. Now, if you're not going to be able to sleep at night, we're just going to have to make it so, maybe some of them will say, I think I can live off of less. You don't know. They come up with all sorts of interesting scenarios, but always thank them for telling you. And then be honest and say, this has happened a couple times. I think we're living in a rose-colored glasses world thinking that this is ever going to happen. So let's look at other options for you to stay the way you are now. What will happen if you stay the way you are now? And go with that scenario.
Audrey, continuing our discussion about leadership, how do you help lead your client, bring your client to that best path for them? What do you do?
I don't make any judgments of what they want their future to be. That's their decision. And once they make that decision, it's there for me to help them to accomplish that. So if they're having problems with saving, or if they don't, if they just say, you know what, we watch the cable news stations too much. We're just worried. We don't know what to do. We can't eat. Well, it's not worth it. So let's look it back and say there's several different ways we can go. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's say if you want to make it more conservative, what would you rather do? Would you rather retire a little later, save a little more money, spend less during retirement? What are your preferences? What would make you feel good about yourself and where you are going? And let them make the decision. Some may say, I really want to retire early, so I will grit my teeth when I listen to anything on the news, but I know we're heading straight, so go ahead and put the pedal to the metal. And that's okay. So you have one for less risk, you have one for more risk. I have also had people that said, we're saving like we're supposed to save, but we're not enjoying life. Okay, so would you rather work for a couple more years? Well, one says, you know what, I I really enjoy what I'm doing. I think I'd like to work part-time for another 5 years after that. Okay, well, guess what? Maybe you don't have to save so hard right now if that's what you're going to do. Oh, how fun would that be? You mean we can go and do things with the family? And this is where I am very big. If there's a big event that may not come again with the family, or an issue, or a thing, I have seen some advisors say, oh no, you don't have this kind of money to do that. It's a life event. It's going to happen. We have all had instances where, yeah, we probably shouldn't have paid the money to do that, realistically, mathematically, but you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so glad we did it. And you have to help your clients through those moments too. They need to enjoy their life as well. So don't always worry about too far in the future. There's got to be some living today. So balance that out.
Yeah, that's such a huge point, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, let me continue the conversation. Do you use stories in helping motivate your client? Do you find them to be particularly effective?
I really like stories, and I will spend time before a meeting thinking about what motivates those particular clients and what issues we have coming up that we need to do, and try to formulate a story around it. I know we talked a bit about the story that I had a client that didn't want to pay for insurance. He thought insurance was a waste of time. And they both were very big animal lovers. So I said, I know you love animals and you love them so much, you take care of them, you spend money on them like crazy. So let's say that you live on a house on a cliff and you had this, I don't know, dog, cat that cost lots of money that you had saved for and you worked hard for. Would you just let this dog or cat just wander around the cliff? Well, you know, if it falls off, it falls off. That's the way it goes. Oh no, gotta put a fence, gotta take care of it, gotta do this. Well, didn't you work hard for your money? Didn't you work just as hard? Put that fence up. The amount that it costs to put that fence up is minuscule next to what you purchased or what you saved. Oh, so really I'm buying this to protect my family or what I worked so hard for. Yes. And the aha light goes on and things go by. But many times I look for stories that motivate them so that they understand why they're doing it for them. The clients have to want to do things for them, not for me. They, some want to make me happy. Yeah, that's nice. But that doesn't get them where they need to be. They need to do it for them. So they need to feel it inside. And you'll find things go much smoother that way.
What a wonderful story. And I certainly know the clients remember those stories long after they forgot what you and I said in a particular meeting. But really appreciate you sharing that.